Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com. Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Haddegrift.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live?
And welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch, live at Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee, just off of Nicholson. So, not a whole lot going on. So, we'll be here for the next 2 hours. Andy Gisco with us live from Las Vegas. I'll be hooking up with Andy later in the week. He is our proxy, and if you are interested in a proxy, get in touch with Andy at Vegas Andy 711 via Twitter. You can DM him and set it up. So he'll also give us his email information when he comes on today. If you're interested in joining the contest, it is a contest sign-up Radio Row Thursday and Friday. So we'll be live at Circa for Radio Row. Myself, Max, Chris Macero, and all of our regular guests as well. Live from Circa. We did it last year as well. We have a lot of activities. It's a fun time, and you're just grabbing people from different shows on the Radio Row. So we've got Andy Esco at 11:30. First, second, no class. My edition today. So we'll have some fun with that. And then at 12:30, Patrick Everson, who we'll see out in Las Vegas as well, from VegasInsider.com. Give us an idea of where some of these future actions are for college football national champion, the win totals in the NFL. We got NFL Super Bowl championship, and also the Rookie of the Year and MVP. So that's our lineup for today. So when we talked yesterday, we knew that R.J. Lewis, however you want to call it, we thought that would have a favorable decision in court yesterday, and he did get his injunction, and so he is eligible to play. We starting to see some of the publicizing of the LSU basketball roster as well, but that's not where the news is, and we told you, do not worry, it's going to be very, very strong. So know that I think they just made public the Israeli big. They got another Brazilian French big that's kind of a big body there. They got a ton of guys. So, and also Lane Kiffin, we came on and we let you know his response to him trying to bring in some NFL players that were cut from their NFL teams and trying to get them back. So. We know that Greg Sankey had issued a statement before denouncing, trying to, for R.J. Lewis, for players that played in preseason. But here's from Ross Dellinger's X yesterday, and geez, as I do it, it just blinks out on me. So I'll get it in just a second. But this is. Oh gosh, I'll find it, Mike. But here it is.
Okay.
What's that?
Did Sankey come out and outright? Did the SEC ban it?
No. There's
not.
a sort of denouncement of it after a Monday evening video conference of the presidents and chancellors of the SEC. The conference is issuing the following statement. So just a statement. College athletes, not former professional athletes, have been at the heart of the Southeastern Conference. Individuals who choose to leave college athletics, sign professional playing contracts, and compete professionally should not then be permitted to return to college competition. Allowing that to occur will blur the line between college and professional sports, create significant competitive equity concerns, and reduce opportunities for high school and current college athletes. College sports are for college athletes. The current confusion around national eligibility standards emphasize the need to advance the Protect the College Sports Act. The difference between college and professional sports. College sports are professional. They're getting paid.
Well, I mean now.
This
right now they are.
I mean, the NCAA was the one that permitted we're talking now. I mean, this is happening now. The permit said, hell with the NIL, rigmarole there, the formality. You can pay the players directly. Okay. Well, I mean, it's professional sports.
That's
the
definition of a professional.
Yeah, you get paid.
I'm just
paid above board.
Huh?
There are contracts.
Yeah.
Yes. So college sports for college athletes. And everybody, wants to draw and dollar. By the way, pretty much the Big Ten is they're trying to pass a policy where they're bringing back, professional athletes to sports. To college. The Big 12 has something in place, the ACC as well. So all of the major of the Power Four are trying to develop a policy. Ross points out in his Twitter feed that this is not necessarily, any type of policy does not preclude a team from going to court with it,
Well, just because the conference would lose in court, I think here's what they're going for, and I'm just kind of trying to read between the lines. Just because they would lose in court, I think what they're trying to do is if everybody gets together and doesn't take these players, then it effectively does it. It allows them not to do that.
So what?
In other words, the buddy system. Everybody, if everybody just gets together and doesn't do it. Now, is that collusion? I don't know.
No. Well, then you. I don't want to dig too deep into it, but I just know this. Okay. And we had enough court radio. Nothing. And one thing is LSU and Lane Kiffin and Will Wade are getting predictably so. That's fine. I want my coach. To. He's paid to win. 97% of the coaches in college football are making more money than they ever have. They're getting that money to win. Bill Belichick is not making as much as he is. Ken Niumatalolo, Dan Mullen, and I think there's one other that I went through yesterday in my research. But all but four.
Kiffin's quote was, "If I'm not coaching them, I'm going to be coaching against them."
Right.
Yeah, I think that's his quote.
Well, now everybody, because it looks like a lot of them, and there's other coaches that said, "Well, I hate this, but if they're out there to be had, some people are going to acquire the talent, whatever. I want him to coach the team, and he's pushed the envelope before, and until they draw up a policy to. But where is it? So like Max was saying, well, and Charlie, I don't, the NBA play, that's too much. Well, the NBA is a professional league, but so is the European League. These guys, LSU had a player last year. He wasn't that good, but he played 4 years of professional ball overseas before he came. Because so the NBA is different than a professional because it's not in this country. That's different. Okay, well, how about is it preseason or regular season? If you play a regular season game and you get cut, can it go back? Oh, now it's only preseason. So, they officially did they play in a game? Is that you cut? Is it just for football and basketball? But then in sports, but you can have professional players from Europe. They got a punter who played in rugby. He played professionally, but he's coming over. But he's not eligible, or no? But where do you draw the line? If you've drawn a check to play that particular sport or any sport at all, for instance, you got current student athletes who are playing professionally while they still compete in the same season. The tennis teams. So we talk about how they share their rosters, and that's one reason they're able to get them. So some girls who go to California play in a pro tournament. They keep the money they make. They are pros still playing college at the same time. But is he just talking about, the profit-producing sports, and not the Olympic sports?
The big
where do you want to wait? You better. There's so many loopholes in everybody's little argument made. Yes, they need some uniformity. And then you got like the Michigan AD. No, we don't want we don't want this level playing field. Damn it, we're going to give up the advantage we built over 100 years of doing this, and we want to give everybody a level playing field? So, my point is it's complicated, but I don't have a problem with my coach trying to win, period. Yeah. And so, nobody had a problem with Matt McMahon bringing over a professional player of 4 years. Oh, well, the NBA. Well, no, it's not different. Well, that's your opinion if you think it's different. And if you want to clarify by saying, everything I've heard is pro players. Well, is it NBA? Is it college? I mean, you make up your mind. But there's all kinds of loopy. The kid from Alabama won the PGA event. Well, then he turned pro. So golf you have to declare. Yeah. Okay, so he doesn't get that money in that tournament he won, but he turned pro a couple of days after. So, I mean, it's –
especially with the pressure, these coaches, with this NIL pressure now. I mean, look how many coaches got fired, that really probably shouldn't have got fired. They just – because they had NIL money invested and they didn't automatically have all this great success because everybody else is doing NIL money too. So the pressure is just so great. These coaches' tenures are so much shorter now. I mean, just because of all this. So
97% of the coaches are making more money than they have, and the other four is minus Belichick, it's a cash grab for him. He's obviously you're not getting his 100% effort. You're not getting him at his he has lost his fastball just a little bit, but it's more than that. It's Indiana. Indiana's getting a lot of – wait, if this guy could do it at Indiana, we're paying you what? What? No excuses. If you can do it at Indiana, you can do it anywhere. And so I was listening to some – it's open season. That's fine. I don't care about, pleasing the competition. I don't care about pleasing the media based on their personal opinions on who should be eligible and who should not. When you got the NCAA, it's a complete mess. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss, we're sitting at this nice little cozy, feel-good walk around the square with Reese Davis, and they're visiting and they're talking about his underdog stories. What about his process to get him eligible? I mean, a tonsillitis, Right. Okay. So, I mean, but that's good. I don't know, but if it's tonsillitis and if he's short and he played at, Ferris State, then that's okay. Diego Pop, whatever it is. I mean, it's all over the place.
You can also take the old arguments they used to make and apply it to this too. Remember, NIL came into being because these universities were making all this money off of these people. They were making it, and the players weren't getting anything. So now the players are getting some money. So then now you can just expand that and say, oh, so-and-so has an extra year of college, but he went to the pros and didn't get money. So we're going to deny him the right to go back to college?
Well, they've had a class action suit retroactively paying some of the players, and some of them missed out, and it only goes back so many. But NIL was easy to predict. What's stopping the car dealer saying, no, the starting quarterback is worth $5 million to do commercials to us. Absolutely. It separates us. What's that mean?
Except now you don't even have to do the commercial.
No. It's been like
I know.
It's so. But it shows it up in a nutshell too, as far as Kiffin and Kiffin is going to push him. By the way, the FBI, a player from Ole Miss, his dad so happens to be in the FBI. Golding said, we didn't go and hire the FBI ourselves, but we did know that this particular player, his dad, was in the FBI. So we combed the coach's office for bugs and stuff like that. I mean, because hey, if you know this guy like I do, I ain't putting anything past him. So, listen, Kiffin he can't, but, also Kiffin was, his part of a big chunk of his success was not just his offensive schemes, but his ability with this new, the NIL pay for players and unlimited transfers. He organized a unit very early and was quick to adapt, and that was a big part of Ole Miss having the most success on the field since Johnny Vaught. I mean, that's a big deal. Yes, he's a very good offensive mind and well coached, but it was him, his organization. So if he's pushing the envelope, where does it stop? So
that's the answer. That's the comment.
Well, this is going to force some people to get some specific guidelines, and and we'll see. But no, NBA, but no, the European. I mean, you better put it in there because pros, college athletes and professional. No, Greg, no, and Sankey's a smart guy, but this is. You can pick a lot of holes. Profit-producing sport, but no for the Olympic sports. It's open game. You can go. You can play professionally, and you can compete in the NCAA tournament from one week to the next. So where you better come with some specific things, and then the big schools, they want to be governed. They want to allow Arkansas on a level playing field. They want to allow. Memphis on a level playing field. Oh, but they're not Power 4. Okay, so you're going to do that as well. We're going to have different, salary caps for different levels, or Power 4 and Group of 6. So there's a lot of things that after. But I have no problem with my coaches trying to do it. And as far as the unfair stuff, I heard in the same sentence today, them kill Kiffin for bringing some Ole Miss players over. It ain't close to what Signetti brought over from James Madison. It's not close.
Yeah.
But that was ingenious.
He had 13.
No doubt. They applaud that. They complimented him on that when he brought so many.
I think
from
UCLA got a bunch of James Madison guys this year because they got the James Madison coach. The guy that came after Signetti, he's at UCLA now, and he brought players with him to UCLA.
More than Kiffin has brought to Ole Miss. Well, there we go. We got games this week. Yesterday, we were over here at Mike Anderson's today.
Huh?
Yes, indeed. The fried okra. These are features for the month of August over here. In addition to our great menus over here on Saturday, man. Oysters are really good for this time of the year, man. Really, really good. They were salty. They were firm. They were really clean. I had some char grilled and some raw. Had some boiled shrimp as well this past Saturday over here at Mike Anderson's. Fried okra. And J-Pops. The J-Pops are the spicy jalapeno stuff with mozzarella cheese and shrimp, then deep fried, served with our house-made ranch. Entrees is the Sid. That's pan-seared fresh black drum, lightly coated in olive oil and Italian breadcrumbs, topped with lump crab meat and sliced mushrooms, sautéed in a scampi butter sauce, served with a choice of side, salad, or coleslaw, and garlic bread. Crab, 7 ways. It's crab season. That's right. We transitioned from crawfish season to crab season. Seafood, crab gumbo, crab cocktail, fried crab claws, crab au gratin, crab meat stuffed mushrooms, fried stuffed crab, and crab etouffee. Served with salad or coleslaw, hush puppies, and garlic toast. For dessert for the August, white chocolate blueberry bread pudding, and our drinks, a little watermelon lemon drop martini, frozen Miami Vice, and Corona Premier Draft. It's Tuesday, which means 5 to 9 p.m. every Tuesday. Oysters on the half shell or half price. Good, really good. I usually don't eat oysters during the summer, but I'm going to get some more today, whereas I had over Saturday. They were excellent. Live at lunch, live at Mike Anderson's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, I'm Mike Delicano, Charlie, with the week off. As from the football perspective, all this on. Is this a little bit of a warning sign or a concern that Kiffin's looking to add players to his already very expensive? You never get everybody you want.
Right.
I listen. Give me as many defensive linemen as I can get. It's football. You're going to get people hurt.
Right.
So there isn't. I mean, we go back in time. I mean, they had to change the rules once a time, because Bear Bryant had 180 guys on scholarship.
Yeah.
He had 15 of them on crew, and rugby and everything else. But I mean, they had to restrict the limit to 85.
Well, remember now, since the transfer portal and all this started, it's very hard for teams, and we said this over and over, to keep their depth. We saw this with LSU last year. They had some injuries on the offensive line. They had to play a lot of freshmen. We saw with Alabama some last year too. When have you ever seen Alabama and LSU both with horrible offensive lines? And we saw it last year.
Yeah.
I mean, your buddy Ty Simpson was getting killed. Obviously, we know about LSU's offensive line. So if something like this presents itself, I don't think it's a warning sign for Kiffin. I think it's just a matter of just adding more depth that the bigger programs used to have. But now if you're a backup at a big-time program, you want to play. So now you can transfer to a smaller type program, get NIL money, and start. So that's where you are right now. Your backups, the best example for LSU, of course, was the guy from Neville that went to Tennessee. The guy right after the big tackle that went to Tennessee. I'm going Hurd.
Yeah, he's at Kentucky.
He didn't want to
I think
start.
He's at Kentucky now.
He went to Tennessee, transferred.
Right.
And, that kind of guy. That's how you
No,
build your
you
program
need a guy
with guys
like
like
that.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't think it's any kind of warning sign for Kiffin. I think it's just a matter of getting more quality depth.
I'm almost positive he's at Kentucky now. I'll check in just to make sure. But I think it's sort of the lack of depth with the SEC schools. I think it's why an SEC school hasn't participated in the last 3 national championships. We're always one of those teams in the last, super team to come out of the SEC was Georgia, in the back-to-back games. And Alabama was right there because their first one, it's a one-possession game, and Alabama lost their biggest weapon, in the middle of the game, in Jamison Williams. So they're right there. But the top of the SEC has not been as good as the top of the Big Ten. It has not. The last 3 years. And now, do they have more depth? Kind of seems that way.
Indiana seems like they do because they take a different approach with their NIL. They don't pay the big money, but they pay more people. They do it when they try to build it with numbers. They go for guys from smaller schools that are older. I think they were the old. That was the big comments coming out last year. The average age of their team. Mm-hmm. And I've been on this air for a lot of years with you here, and I've tried to get the point across to LSU fans a lot of times that, and I think I used to use Troy as an example a lot of times. You got a guy at Troy that's a 4th or 5th year guy that's been starting for 3 years. He's going to be usually better than LSU's 18-year-old 5-star recruit.
Sure.
And that's kind of where you are, and that's what Indiana has done. That's what they've built their team on, guys like that.
Some people may argue, but I think we have seen that, playing at some level of ball, whether it's a Ferris State, if would Chambliss have been that good if he was sitting on the bench for 2 or 3 years at Ole Miss? I don't think so.
Good no.
The reps. We're talking about all the time.
Yeah.
Some of these quarterbacks that were like, Brock Purdy or Bo Nix. If those guys come out early and don't play as much as they did, 50 starts or something like Jaden Daniels. Was phenomenal. He was so much more ready because all the reps. Would he have, after 2 years? And now it's to a thing where, it's pretty much uniform that you get knocked down a peg if you don't have 25 college starts on pretty much everybody's draft board, which makes the Ty Simpson thing that much more puzzling. But it may work out for them. They may win the the Super Bowl this year, regardless. So anyway, Lance Hurd is the starting left tackle his senior year for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Really? I did not know. Now that you say that, right when we mentioned it, I don't remember him getting drafted last year. I don't remember hearing his name, but
he may have. He may play preseason. He's back in school. I don't know. He just slipped
through
the
Max
cracks.
Johnson.
No, because Kentucky can do it because they're not any good. You see, Will Wade was just fine until they beat Kentucky and Rupp.
I know.
Then that's a problem.
I know Max Johnson is starting for Georgia Southern, I think, this year.
Yes, he is. His 7th season.
Is that?
Yes. That's Clemson's second game.
Oh, okay.
Yes, indeed. That is Clemson's second game. So, he's at North Carolina, the whole thing. So, the North Carolina thing, the biggest thing out of, Lombardi getting paid or, getting let go. But, whatever, paid on indefinitely suspended, whatever they classified it as letting him go. And Belichick as well. We've seen a little bit of this kind of calm down in baseball. It's just the arrogance of the NFL. Say this is the highest level of competition. If I'm successful in the NFL, I could go into college, and it is a different skill set.
Yeah, sure.
Completely different. Well, Lombardi and Belichick think they were smarter than everybody involved there when they had no college experience.
Well, when Belichick took that job, I remember thinking I could not think of a way. I couldn't come up with a scenario for him to succeed. The only way I could come up with it is if he changed completely who he was. For example, he has this highly recruited running back that comes in, and the guy fumbles. Well, Belichick would bench a guy, for New England. You fumbled. He didn't like that. You didn't play for 2 weeks. You were gone. He does that in college. That guy's transferring. So I didn't really come up, that's part of what Belichick was. He had certain things you did. You better know your assignments or you don't get to play. And, of course, he pulls that in college with the type of athletes now in the transfer portal.
It's also something that Rohan thinks that element is not as prevalent for LSU in this new staff and this new roster because so many players tell their parent they're afraid to coach because they're afraid.
Yeah.
And Ro made a good point yesterday talking about different programs of stature may be able to actually coach their players more. He said that when he goes to practice, you don't see that timidness to get after and coach, these guys. I mean, when you're coaching the guys, you're not trying to criticize them. You're trying to humiliate. You're trying to help them.
I know.
I mean, it's kind of the
There's
way.
different styles, and I've seen it done a lot of different ways, but
it's never more prevalent in which probably what players are probably the strongest in the big three, probably the NBA players. Okay, you have to be super chill to be on the bench in the NBA. Yeah. Do not raise your voice.
I would assume.
It's unbelievable. They're just. I mean, the college, the bench behavior and interaction between coach and player in college basketball, and even today in college basketball, in the NBA is so different. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. A great team at Legacy Title. Long-standing staff will execute your deal seamlessly. Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Mariana Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title, 296-0060. Oysters on the half shell tonight and every Tuesday night, 5 to 9 p.m. or half price at Mike Anderson's. Live at lunch, live at Mike Anderson's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Total Maintenance, their slogan is service today, every day. What does that mean for you? Well, I'll tell you what it means for me. Your air conditioner goes out in the summertime, you're going to be dealing with sweltering heat. And if that goes on overnight, it means nobody is going to get any rest. So let Total Maintenance take care of all of your air conditioner needs this summer and avoid that sweltering heat. Service today, every day means nobody ever goes to sleep hot. For all your electrical and plumbing needs as well, 480-1000. 480-1000. Total Maintenance.
Live at lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
Andy, getting ready to see you, man, this Friday. Looking forward to it. We're excited. Got our sort of consortium ready to get signed up for the Circa Survivor pool.
Well, looking forward to seeing you all and having some fun, some good chat, and get together as we do pretty much each year around this time. The sign-ups are going nicely. If you go to the Circa Sports Millions site, they will generally update, I believe, every morning what the current status is. And I believe right now they've got something like 12,000 sign-ups for the Circa Survivor right now.
They're going. They break a record every year. I mean, it just gets bigger and bigger every year. They've raised the guarantee every year. So looking forward to it. Andy, before we get jammed up with the break and before we get into some more topics here, but tell people how to get in touch with you should they want to use you as a proxy. It's real simple. The picks have to be submitted in person. It's Nevada policy. And so you act as our proxy when we, for a fee and execute those picks for us.
Yeah, basically you have to register physically in Las Vegas or one of the sports books in Nevada. I think they have a couple upstate, but here in Vegas, they got Circa downtown, and Tuscany. There's a satellite book down a little bit closer towards the lower part of the Strip. They can go to my website, which is thelogicalapproach.com, and that's THELOGICALAPPROACH.com. And you scroll down a little bit. I got the countdown clock to the start of the season, the NFL season. Below that, I have some things for people who want to know about my newsletters and all that. But below that, there is a thing that says if you want to participate in one of the handicapping contests, click that link. It'll take you to the page on my website where I talk about all the contests, talk about all the highlights of the contest, and most importantly of all, for anyone who has some questions that might not be covered in my descriptions, links to the official rules for each contest, so people can take a look for any of the little vagaries of the contest, payoff tables, etc., like that. So that's prominently highlighted on the home page, and you just click that link, and then there's, I think, an email address. May even have my cell number for someone who wants to text me with any questions. But the key thing to emphasize is that you do have to register in Las Vegas. If you can't make it, but you've got a friend, a relative, a colleague, someone who you can trust, they will sign up in their name. You can provide me with the selections each week, but just keep in mind that the person who's listed as the official entrant is the one who determines where payments are to be made.
All right, Andy, any win totals, anything that we're looking for? We're getting college underway, or any teams that you're going to look into back or fade as we start play with 8 games this Saturday?
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to, although I am looking at a couple of the season win totals. I kind of like Penn State to have a really good initial year under Matt Campbell coming over with all the players he did, plus success in the transfer portal. I think Penn State's going to be a surprise team. I did play Michigan with Whittingham at a nice, I think I got him at like 50-1 to win the national title. He inherits a team that had not been at the level that it was under Harbaugh when he won the NCAA championship. He won the football championship a few years ago before he left again for the NFL. He's a great coach, has a lot of experience, knows knows the game, knows a lot of the teams from the conference from his days back there with Utah. And I like Michigan a lot this year to be one of the contenders. I didn't play it. I'm still deciding. I expect some regression for Indiana this year. Not quite sure we'll see, a mediocre record. But the thing you want to keep an eye on after an undefeated season, how will they all of a sudden handle defeat if and when they lose that first game? And they've got a couple of tough games along the way. It would only be natural to see other teams having caught up with them, or more or less, now that they understand Cignetti and his coaching philosophy, etc., that's something that could slow down Indiana from last year. Of course, you lose the Heisman Trophy winner with Mendoza, but he's done a good job of recruiting. He's built up the program. But I would not be surprised if this team drops down maybe to 9 wins, 9-3. I think would still be a successful season.
Mike, it's my favorite. The old Jimmy the Greek board, the intangibles at the end.
Yes.
The championship hangover. Mike Delicano's with us, Andy. You can bring him in on this as well. It's no way to prove it, but man, it sure seems like it affects it. And who is more prone to a national championship hangover than Indiana?
Well, the thing is, they did get a good quarterback transfer. So
Hoover.
they did,
Yeah.
maybe obviously not going to be as good as Mendoza, but they did do that. That was their number one need. And then again, now we just talked about, he always has been doing a good job of getting depth for his team. So they have a week schedule, a non-conference schedule.
So that's every year.
Yeah. So I mean, it'll probably go down a little bit, but he's done a good job of going from year to year.
He's likely to lose some games. They're not mandated to play a Power 4 non-conference opponent. It's 3 random wins again, just like Penn State again. But their win total is at 9.5. Now, over 9.5 is minus 300. They're going to lose a game or 2 or 3, okay? But they are well coached. But, man, I mean, if there's ever – because I even stretch it, that championship hangover angle – to teams that just have so much a better season, not necessarily a championship, but a success hangover, like SMU a couple of years ago, that went to the playoff and then they fell off a little bit because the programs are not used to that success. Indiana certainly isn't.
Yeah, and then you look at Indiana, that's the team that everybody has circled on their schedule to not only beat them, but to be the first team to end that unbeaten streak. So they're going to face some tough competition, but they'll get off to a good start. But I would also not be surprised if they have, let's say by Game 8 of the regular season, or through Game 8, if they have a losing point spread record, because they'll be getting so highly priced because of reputation, and people will excuse maybe one or two bad performances. But again, it's that intangible of how they react. There is an interesting game on this week's schedule. It's the game between North Carolina and TCU. That's the game that's going to be played in Dublin. And depending upon which side you like, I'm looking right now at anywhere from pretty much 7 to 7.5. I think there might be some 6.5s that you could find somewhere out there. Last year, these teams opened at North Carolina. It was Belichick's first game as head coach of a college team. In fact, he's never had any prior college experience at the assistant level before last year. 48-14. It was a rout. It was an embarrassing performance. The cupboard is somewhat bare, and of course they've got some off-the-field issues with Lombardi and Belichick's son, who taken, I think, a medical leave from calling the defensive signals. But you have all off season, and who's better at picking apart the strengths and weaknesses of an opponent, as he did in the NFL, is Bill Belichick. It was a totally new experience for him last year, coming into the college game and all the differences between preparation, the coaching methods, the coaching talent that he has. I have not yet seen an 8 out there, but there are plenty of 7.5s out there. This game is being played not at TCU, it's at Dublin. So Belichick, probably very well familiar with, from his days in the NFL, of bringing his team along nicely when you've got to travel over to Europe and all that. I don't expect Carolina to win, but I wouldn't be shocked. And again, this is one of those intangible plays. TCU does have the better overall talent, but after that embarrassing loss last year and then finding all the adjustments he had to make throughout the season and the offseason, I'm banking on Belichick to cash a ticket.
All of these games have been close, minus the Notre Dame Navy game. And also we've seen a little bit of hangover from making this trip as well.
Yeah.
Notre Dame finally caught up with them. Should have lost to Duke. Got pounded by Louisville when they after they made that trip. Nebraska Northwestern game that came down to the either overtime or a last second field goal. That was Northwestern beat Nebraska. That was their only conference win of the season. And so, and Nebraska had a disappointing season. By the way, Matt Rule says this is his best roster he's had in Lincoln. So we've been waiting for that. We'll see if that works out for him. But a lot of these games have been really, really close.
Yeah, and just overall on the season, I don't know that I can play them over their season win total because there's a lot of rebuilding to do. But with the coaching change at Michigan State, I would not be surprised if they have a winning point spread record. Fitzgerald's familiarity with the conference, the venues, etc. Even though look, what he did at Northwestern was pretty incredible, sustaining the kind of success that he did before the last few years things fell out. So I look for Michigan State to be an improved team this year. Don't know how well it'll show up on the scoreboard, but I think it will show up nicely at the betting windows.
Iowa State beat Kansas State in a close game last year. Georgia Tech, it was figured, we thought it was an upset, but it wasn't when they beat number 10 Florida State by a field goal the year before. So, they even go back to the 80s when the first one was BC beat Army 38-24. There were games played in 88-89. Pitt beat Rutgers in 89. So that Dublin, there was supposed to be another one, and this is my favorite matchup this week. But because of some complications, because of some
the NC State Virginia game,
and some administrative adjustments in the organizers of the event in Sao Paulo, Brazil. They're just going to stay on campus here. But you talk about a team that, man, if they take care of business, they lost in overtime to Duke. They're going to be in the AC. They're probably going to be ahead of Miami in the college football playoff. They won 10 games last year. They have the oldest returning starting line in all of college football this year. I think the kid from Zachary, maybe he got beat out. and Eli Holstein, Brent Pribula, who was at Penn State and then Missouri. There was a battle at their concert. And then a guy that the previous LSU staff was very high on and was targeting for a possible transfer. He stayed in Raleigh, and that's C.J. Bailey, the quarterback for Dave Dorn, who's been there, he's like 13 years now in Raleigh.
Yeah, it's interesting because both NC State and Virginia, the opponents, had really good seasons last year, and I don't know that either of them were expected to do it. I think NC State was 8-5 last year, and I think Virginia was I think they were 11-3. Now that came following off a 3-5 win season. So 11-3 in the Tony Elliott finally had his entire team there. Wonder if Virginia might be a team that shows some regression this year.
You're laughing at me, Dave Dorn. This is his 14th season at NC State. How many guys last 14 years?
No,
at one place in college football.
Yeah. I was talking about Virginia regression this year.
Yes, indeed. Follow Andy on Twitter at VegasAndy711. Andy, we look forward to seeing you. If you need a proxy, he's done this for many, many years for any of the Las Vegas football contests. Give him a shout, and he will hook up with you. We'll see you Friday, Andy. Thank you, buddy.
As I wish everybody coming to Vegas, may you have a safe, uneventful, and on-time arrival.
There we go. Thank you, Andy. We'll talk to you later this week. So, yeah, the Kirk Ferentz is the most tenured coach out there, and that makes a lot of sense. And Kyle Whittingham, he just switched, so he's done.
Campbell switched.
Dabo Sweeney and Dave Dorn.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, so Dabo's got Dorn beat by 4 years, so both of those guys in the top 5 of tenured coaches at their current school. Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive. K&M Automotive, 8445 Segan Lane near Perkins. It's the only place I take my vehicle. They're open 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Jason Payne going to give you an honest deal. Not going to upcharge you for unnecessary work. So check the engine light comes on. We're not trained mechanics. Bring it on in. Belts, hoses, general services, AC repair, transmission, tires, just an oil change. Come by and check us out at K&M Automotive. It's on 8445 Segan Lane, just off of Perkins, right across Segan from Ambrosia Bakery. The only place I take my vehicle, K&M Automotive. Wrapping up hour number 1 after this from Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, live at Mike Anderson's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, Mike, you watched the game Saturday with the Saints?
Yes.
It means nothing, but my goodness, this was the worst showing of any NFL team in the preseason this past week.
Yes, and Kellen Moore, is probably going to redo his practice schedule in the future, his preparation schedule. He had a joint practice with Dallas. That was very emotional. They had some fights breaking out. Then that's on Tuesday. Then he has a joint practice with the Rams on Thursday, and he lets all his starters play in those games because in the joint practices you do everything live, but you don't go to the ground. So it saves your leg injuries. I know people are saying, well, Kamara got injured Tuesday. Kamara was standing there, and somebody got knocked down and rolled into his knee. Kind of a fluke little thing there. So that seems to be what more NFL teams are comfortable with. Well, then you got to show up and play a preseason game on Saturday, and you just got physically manhandled. I understand it was the Saints reserves against the Ram reserves, but you got pushed around the offensive defensive line, and really just I don't see how you really got much out of it. You had a few more injuries for some backup people that probably weren't going to make the team anyway, but overall it was a bad deal because your training camp has had a lot of positivity building, where you're getting some good reviews from the Tyler Shuck and some of the players there, the young guys, and then now you kind of a negative here. So now you're at a point where you had 20 guys out, injuries yesterday with practice, and you're preparing for your last preseason game on Friday. And, Jimmy, I'm going to steal your line that I've heard you use. They want to get in there and just get out of there at Dallas. Somehow they really – they barely got enough running backs to play this game. I mean, they made a trade for Zamir White. They used to be for Georgia. They got him from San Francisco. They traded Deion Jones, ex-LSU player, that they had signed. So they really are just I don't know what they're going to do this Friday, but I'm assuming he will not play his starters. But it'd be interesting to see. But, yeah.
Back to the topic of the day, and with Lane Kiffin and Will Wade and things like this, and Kiffin, with the other university presidents, the SEC, they spit out a letter saying we don't approve of this. Tried to warn people about it and stuff, and Sankey doesn't like it. The other university presidents, the Big Ten has already put in a policy to not bring in NFL players. I got to see exactly what it is. If it's NFL or if it's all professional football players, if it's all professional athletes, where does the line draw? NBA players, but European pro players are fine. Wherever it is. I mean, not profit-producing sports or non-profit, whatever. But they're basically this is uniform. The Big 12 and the ACC are in. Will they stay? Will these guys be eligible? Is what I want to know. So will these two defensive linemen and the tight end, are they going to be eligible? I mean, it's not a policy. It's NCAA can't do it. It's court. I mean, so it will be interesting. We're live here at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch again with our great August specials: the fried okra, the J-Pops, the Sid, crab 7 ways, and white chocolate blueberry bread pudding. First, second, no class. Oh, I drive the ship this week. After this, live at lunch, live at Mike Anderson's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
Love my Supreme Rice. That parboiled rice is unbelievable too, man. You talk about really battle where you boil it or steam it, man. It just comes out perfect every time. Long grain rice, very, very firm, beautiful stuff over from Supreme Rice. Been grown, milled, processed in South Louisiana for a long, long time. All right, first of all, in first class, and we're talking about, the services for Skip Burtman will be tomorrow night at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Now, players they have a little bit of a meeting gathering before. Charlie and I are part of that group as well, between 5 and 6 p.m. But 6 o'clock, the doors open to the public. And there will be a presentation, and so it is open to the public. And the organizers and the family and the players have all stressed that the general public is welcome, and a strong showing of attendance will be be recognized by the family as a sign of respect and support. So they would like a really nice crowd tonight, and I'm sure that will be the case. But doors open at 6 p.m. The service starts at 7 p.m. over at the Maravich Assembly Center. And talking to so many of Skip's players, and we had a bunch on last Friday. 2 Fridays ago, and then this past Friday, Doug Thompson came over as well, and just so many good stories, man. It's just really, and just the other things, not just the game situations, but just how he used his typical motivational angles, or his interaction with the kids, and not so much just what happened in the games. It reminded me was something that I had to go through recently with my dad as a coach, and all the respect that his players, and came back and talked to him. So really, it's a cool thing. And when we talk about college athletes, it's transferring. Well, this is kind of something that is lost. I mean, there's a lot of things that are wrong with the college athletic system today. I get that. But, just the coach-player interaction in relationship. Now, Rohan goes down every year to Miami to spend some time during the holidays with his high school football coach. So just really, really cool. But I do have to mention one other kind of a dual entry today for the first class. Now, the Saints. This is their 60th year this year, and so in sort of an anniversary value menu for the concessions. They've got a $6 anniversary value menu. Select draft beer, hot dogs, popcorn, pretzels, nachos, and water. Now, it's not going to, it's not going to beat, Arthur Blank, what they got going over in Atlanta. That guy's the king of the lower concessions, and some of the reviews have been not all of the $6 menu items are available at all the concessions. So they're trying to go through the preseason, but they'll get it figured out. But I mean, everything from staples like etouffee, jambalaya, beignets, gumbo, po' boys, Hubig's pies. My buddy Holden Mayo's got his Hubig's pie over at the Superdome. So nice little gesture by Miss Gale for the Saints in their 60th anniversary. So,
well, I mean, Skip Burtman and First Class go together. So,
what's that?
Skip Burtman and First Class, those two words go together. Those words go together.
And it was Skip certainly, I need to make sure that the hot cocoa is hot, and he would develop to make sure the chicken sandwich. He was promotions, and everybody wants more resource. No, you got to promise me this if you're going to hire me as your coach. And this and this and this came over a blank canvas, and let's create it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Skip stories about resources, and I think they're doing the chair back seats. And the athletic director comes in. We didn't approve that. For the pay to pay for it. Been taken care of. These people will have they've already donated. Yeah. It's paying for it. So, that kind of stuff. Second class, usually good with a chance to be great. How about a little bit of a starving bone to a filet mignon? I mean, for a bone for a starving dog or to filet mignon. Michael, we got 8 Division I games this Saturday. That's right. North Dakota State and Sacramento State are new entries as D1 programs this year, taking that big step. So all 8 games will involve D1. And then you got a couple of Power 4 contests in there as well. TCU and North Carolina and Virginia and NC State. It's better than no games this Saturday, right?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Okay, but how about if we have a full schedule next year? See, college athletics, the student athlete, we're all about, academics and this and that. It's funny. And all the changes in college athletics, that's my favorite. Nobody's academically ineligible. They're all smarter now with all the changes that are going on with college athletics. But anyway, a full schedule. They're going to start the college football season next year. You won't have to play in Brazil. You won't have to play in here. You won't have to be Hawaii. You won't have to play an FCS team. Everybody is going to play starting the weekend before Labor Day, which will provide 2 buys going into the regular season.
Really? Huh.
Hallelujah. Really.
North Dakota State's going to be interesting because they've been such a strong program. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. They should really go to make the leap up probably pretty seamless, and it's just a matter of how much success they're going to have. Saints have 3 guys on their team from North Dakota State right now.
The thing about North Dakota State is they're all just saying continuity. They didn't go and attack any – they didn't really bring in any transfer portal guys. They all are playing, and some people say, okay, you'll have more continuity, but you're at disadvantage – tying the hand behind your back as far as your roster building. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
There has been a line movement in that game. It was at 9.5. It dipped to 6.5. Now it's at 7. But there was some sharp action on Jacksonville State plus the points. It has it right at an even touchdown. That's according to our friends over at the Queen and Bally's. So a couple of no class. They had a lot of them, but this is, I got to talk some tennis, and you had a daughter who played, she played college tennis, so you have spent many of hours at college tennis matches.
Uh-huh.
And so the USTA / the U.S. Open can bring in a wild card, somebody that doesn't qualify. Does this sound like pretty good? 0-13 this past year. And what is it? The last 4 years, 4 wins total. Does that sound like you should qualify? They're playing qualifying matches right now. Yes, Venus Williams. Venus Williams has won 7 Grand Slams, and she's a hit. But my goodness, I mean, deserving? No, it's time.
How
it's
old
over.
is she now?
She's old, but
she's over 40 probably.
She's been over 40 since she's been getting these wild card matches. But
but
the real no class is something we've already touched upon. You know, in the NFL this past week, there were 11. This was supposed to be so. It used to be the second or third game of the 4-game preseason was when you play most of your starters, usually 3, and you give them all. That was kind of old school. Now we got 3 games. Well, very few play in the first game. So the second game, you'll give your starters off again on the third week. So the second game, this past week in the second game, 32 starting quarterbacks, 11 of the 32 started.
They did.
11. One of them, Jaden Daniels, threw 1 pass. Yeah. And that was it. I mean, you had another one throw 2 passes, another one throw 4. Caleb Williams threw 5. I mean, so it is just a bad watch to see. Preseason was a tease to begin with back in the day, but some sort of football, and these guys are fighting for roster spots. Mm-hmm. Now with the joint practice being valued more and more by the coaches, then you see what happened to the Saints when they have 2 joint practices one week, and then they have nothing when they come to the third sort of either preseason game or joint practice within a 5-day span. But this is really, and Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, I think it was the Raiders-Texans. They had a game on Saturday night or Friday night, and all they did was like, oh, man, this guy stayed in bounds. He's my new favorite player. Let's just get this over. When the guy's broadcasting the games and you got sponsors there, and the announcers are like, can we just go home?
Yeah, but
this is so bad.
But, Jimmy, here's the deal, and I read this. The Hall of Fame game had more viewers.
No, it's at a rec. Yes.
Than every single NHL game of the year.
I understand.
You saw that.
We're starving football. But the Hall of Fame game also was way higher than the entertainment level of any of these games. Okay. I mean, it was back and forth. They scored 6 straight times in the second quarter after a 0-0 scoreless first quarter, and it was back and forth, and it won on the last play of the game. I mean, it was unbelievable, and they played base defense, but Beck was really sharp. Haynes King was really sharp. Yeah. I mean, it was like, but that's not the norm, Mike.
No.
You know that.
And I actually watched the beginning of the Denver Green Bay game.
Now both starting quarterbacks played for a little bit.
The crowd was a normal crowd, and they played that. I mean, that crowd was into it. And that first quarter, I mean, they played the starters, and I was sitting there doing a double take going, what's going on here? But I guess some people have different philosophies is all I can say. Remember, Charlie brought up last week that Sean Payton used to kind of play breeze, a little bit every preseason game a lot of times. I had forgot that.
He played Bo Nix, and they played
Bo Nix, and they played
Jordan Love and for about a quarter and a half. Yeah.
And it was really bizarre compared to watching the other games, because the NFL Network shows all the games all during the week, and you can kind of just watch an old game, watch a few series, but that game was strikingly different.
So we should not be alarmed by how bad the Saints look Saturday, because it doesn't mean anything?
No, we're not alarmed at that. Actually, it's if their injuries can heal up. And from what I've kind of read, you have 2 guys that are out for the year, Brzee and a backup lineman, Dylan Radnews, and everybody else should be coming back at some point. I don't know exactly when. So right now they're okay. Now, I imagine this preseason game is going to not count at all because they really have some injuries, and they don't want any more about anybody else.
So
hurt.
What quarterback of these 11 starting quarterbacks performed the best? I got to bring it to your attention. Should the Jets fans be reserving a block for a playoff run? Geno Smith, 7 for 7 in a 17-0 win.
Well, I don't think they should be reserving a playoff spot. I know. I mean, I know y'all said it on the show, but of all the major sports, the hockey, the NBA, the major leagues, and the NFL, the Jets have the longest playoff drought by far of any other team compared to any other team in any of those leagues. And they're just such a poorly run franchise. Jimmy, they traded – I mean, you talk about a franchise that traded Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner last year with a first-year coach. I mean, an all-pro defensive tackle and an all-pro corner. I mean, the Saints – the history of the Saints, who's the Saints' best defensive lineman ever? Interior. Leroy Glover, maybe? I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about that. I mean,
so we count.
Okay,
we're not counting Cam Jordan because he's on the edge.
No, I'm talking about interior. So the Saints have been in a franchise for 60 years, and they've never had a defensive lineman as good as Quinnen Williams.
Okay.
And the Jets trade him. And the Jets trade him because they want to rebuild again. Okay, who's the best corner in the history of the Saints? Marshawn Lattimore, probably.
Yes.
Okay, he's best corner, and Sauce Gardner. He's injured right now, but he looks like he's going to have a better career than Marshawn Lattimore, probably. Sauce Gardner, probably.
Yeah.
So the Jets traded an interior defensive lineman that's better than any interior defensive lineman in the history of the Saints. They traded a corner coming in his prime.
Yeah.
That's better than any corner in the history of the Saints. And you wonder why this team can't make the playoffs. And they have a coach that's probably going to get fired, and we don't know if he's good or not because he's had no chance.
I'm just worried about if the preseason will become extinct.
That's
even the biggest ripoff in tickets ever, when they used to the preseason tickets were the same amount as the regular season games. And that's even been structured. They tier them now, and they're at a reduced price. As far as the Saints ticket structure, the Falcons. What other team has the Falcons as one of the highest priced tickets when they come to play your team? So anyway, a pretzel and a beer for $12, $6 a piece over at the Superdome. Don't forget our friends at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, shades. We got it all for you at Relief Windows. Relief Windows, we proudly install. Talk about the siding, first of all. Proudly installed with vinyl and hardy plank siding, both resistance to rot, termites, warping, harsh weather for years to come. And yes, we have some harsh weather here in South Louisiana. Durable siding not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also provides exceptional protection and peace of mind for your homeowners as well. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Your homeowners association requires wood windows like mine does. Do it right the first time. That's not cheap, so you don't want to be replacing these windows every 6, 8, 10 years. Call Relief Windows at 288-8138. Go to ReliefWindows.com to check out all of our inventory at Relief Windows. Back with Patrick Everson from VegasInsider.com. We continue live at lunch, live at Mike Anderson's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, Mike, as we got Patrick Everson from VegasInsider.com at 12:30. So we'll get to him in just a little bit. See, Charlie is missed. No organization to this show.
No organization.
When he's gone. So we also going to talk with Randy McKay about the Detroit Lions tomorrow. So he's going to break them down as well. And they're so interesting. I mean,
Saints first game.
If they had to do it over again, I mean, a little different game management probably results in a win. They were so much the best in San Francisco that day. They were such the best. I mean, they were just blowing through them, and that was
funny that you bring that game up right away, because I'm kind of what you're hinting at. What's in the back of your mind when you're saying that is their window might have passed them a little bit, and they're close. They're trying to hang in there. But, I mean, that year they had one of the best offensive lines in football.
They did.
They had their defense was healthier. They've had some defensive injuries. They still had their two coordinators. They lost both their coordinators. And that was kind of their window. And this is going to be the Saints' first game of the year. We're talking about Saints injuries. Detroit's starting center's already out for the year. And, so they already have some things going on where their offensive line is dropped. They're moving Panay Sewell to left tackle from right tackle after all these years.
Okay.
And they don't have the Montgomery anymore with to pair up with their 1-2 punch. They're running with Gibbs. And I think they picked up the guy from Kansas City, Pacheco, and I think he's hurt. Pacheco, and I think he's hurt right now. So interesting to see. That'll be an interesting analysis because some people are picking them to do very well. They have a weaker schedule, and then I'm looking at them as I don't know if they can get to where they were. And I'm a big, I gave Dan Campbell a lot of credit for building that team. He instilled an attitude, a very Sean Payton-like attitude where that team thinks they're better than everybody. Sean Payton's doing that at Denver right now. I was thinking of that when I was watching that preseason game a little bit. And but now it seems like their better years were behind them. And that Saints game is going to be an interesting game.
Wasn't Hutchinson hurt for that game, though? I think he was.
Hutchinson got hurt that year.
Yeah, Joe's giving me
the next year, they had all their defense was hurt. The next year.
Yeah, and then
when they threw the interceptions.
They got smoked by Washington.
Threw the interceptions, yeah.
Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco is with the Lions now, and he's backed up by a fourth-round pick out of Utah, Sione Vaki. But, yeah, both of them are questionable for the last preseason game, so he's a little banged up as well. Some people think that, Gibbs is a guy that really, your fantasy players, your prop players, and things like that, totals. I stay away from these season-long player props because it's all about injuries.
It's all about injuries.
And they've baked it in to where it's a little bit lower. If the guy stays healthy, usually goes over.
But they're thinking Gibbs is going to get more of a workload because Montgomery's not there. But if Dan Campbell's smart, which it seems like he's most of his career has done a pretty good job making decisions, he would keep his workload the same because you can't wear out a guy like that. With 17-game season. What's your feeling on the division though? With the Saints, Vita Vea, they give him his 1-year deal. Yeah. He's a very important piece. We're handicapping games. I want to know if he's in there or not because he's kind of been a little bit. His availability is a little bit checkered. Mm-hmm. Mayfield seems to be like he's a little distracted, but say it's ready to play. Started off so strong, was the favorite for the MVP at the first turn, but I mean just did not finish great at all. And then, they lose a tiebreaker to Carolina. And the last day of the year, they drafted Reuben Bain, who was probably the best pass rusher in college.
And I like that. He's a guy that slid.
They need.
He sure did. He sure did disrupt some pretty high quality offensive lines last year, including Ohio State.
With Tampa, you kind of get the feeling the way you just said when talk about. Mayfield starting out strong and then I think you used the word slide. That's a good word for Tampa right now. The whole team, they seem to be sliding a little bit where they're not quite what they were. One of the things people like to say about the Saints toward the end of the year is that, the Saints never beat a team with a winning record in their schedule, whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the reasons why the Saints didn't beat a team with a winning record is because they beat Carolina twice at the end of the year, and then they beat Tampa late. Those teams would have had a winning record, except for the Saints beat them.
Well, my
point is, I'm not saying the Saints were this great world.
They beat some teams that were tanking. They beat some teams that were tanking too.
Yeah.
The Jets were disinterested. The Titans.
The Jets were gone. But what I'm saying though is, Tampa, I believe, is kind of on the slide. Atlanta seems to be where. I'm not sure if they know what they're trying to do right now.
Talking about schedules, it's funny we mentioned the Lions. The Lions have a much lighter on paper. That's projecting, but compared to previous results last year, it's a much lighter schedule than what they had. And they had after the NFC Championship loss to San Francisco, they had one of the most difficult schedules. They're the last place team in the NFC North, and there's a big gap between Seattle or Los Angeles and Arizona. When you pair it up, when that's one of your rotational.
Exactly.
But
it's
the other thing is we're talking about another team that's kind of, we know about the Patriots versus their softer schedule last year. Denver was a recipient. Charlie, I said, when we brought this team up and this quarterback, it's like, has he broken through? I'm like, has he broken through? He went 13-4 last year, gave his team in the playoff game, scored less than 2 minutes to go to give him the lead. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars they had a lighter schedule last year as well, but they were 13-4 also.
Yeah, that was another one of these teams. Denver would be one where you win your close games, and all of a sudden it just changes everything.
Like when Denver won Philadelphia.
Yeah,
won the Giants game.
Yeah, you win your close games, and don't get me wrong, it was a first-year coach. They really improved. Jacksonville deserves a lot of credit. So we'll see if they can take the leap up where they really are a good team. Last year they won games, but they weren't a great team. They lose in the first round. I thought Buffalo was the better team than them, and they lose that game. But they're moving forward. That's what you want to see. They lose A-Chain. They let A-Chain leave, and they do nothing to try to replace him. I found that interesting. They're going with some young guys that they like. I'm not even sure who their names are, but they did nothing to try to replace him. They have some good receivers. They have a solid defense. So we'll see on something like that. But Trevor Lawrence finally had a good year. I mean, they paid him. He's one of those $50 million a year guys that they have now. Most of them, a lot of, the Burrow one worked out. The Justin Herbert worked out. And it looks like Trevor Lawrence worked out. But a lot of teams, when they gave those quarterbacks those contracts, it really set the team back.
Who you like better, Herbert or Lawrence?
I like Herbert.
Both kind of like.
I like Herbert better.
We want a little bit more out of them because their measurables are so almost perfect.
The thing with Herbert was, their offensive line last year was decimated with injuries.
Oh, he was running for.
They lost. Decimated, and he was getting killed.
Yeah.
So now that it looks like they're healthy, we'll see. I have the Chargers as a Super Bowl contender this year. I think they're that good.
That coach's offensive line is fairly important to him.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, and they'll try to. There's no doubt he had nothing, no running game at all.
Harbaugh's done a fantastic job with the Chargers these 2 years.
Speaking about local team, we're talking about Clemson coming in 99th in rushing yards per attempt last year. That's not very good. No. For a team like Clemson. But Clemson, again, we looked at their schedule, and, they'll be underdog. Obviously, 9.5 against LSU. They're underdog at home against Miami. The other games, I'm projecting them to be favored.
Really? Huh.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. They've got some very soft road trips on their schedule this year. You want fewer AC breakdowns, lower energy bills, and year-round peace of mind? Join the Total Maintenance Membership Program. Just give us a call at 480-0007. Membership programs as low as $24.95 a month, as much as $39.95 a month. But with the Elite Membership Plan, man, that's the one today. Get an instant $200 credit bonus, sign-up bonus, $200 of TM bucks, so total maintenance bucks, which credit goes to when it's time to replace equipment. You can use your credit, your TM bucks, and half of your $39.95 a month goes to a credit as well. So comes with a sensor system and an app to notify of breakdowns earlier, a service 2 times a year to lower your monthly bills, make sure your unit's going to last longer, run more efficiently, 50% off diagnostics, 15% off all repairs. So you talk about a wise deal that you're going to get your money back and then some, and also allow your unit to, it's going to make it less susceptible to breakdowns during the summer months as well. 480-0007, the membership programs, in the Elite Membership Program, the creme de la creme at Total Maintenance. Total Maintenance, 480-0007, and tm-ac.com. Patrick Everson of VegasInsider.com. When we return, live at lunch, live at Mike Anderson's at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Having a little difficulty hooking up with Patrick Everson. He's ready to go. Okay, we got him right now. All right, let's get to him. Patrick Everson of VegasInsider.com. I'm sure I'll see you later in the week as part of the Circa Contest sign-up weekend, Radio Row. How you been, Patrick?
I've been great. I appreciate you having me on, Jimmy. I hope they're feeding you well at Mike Anderson's. Can't say I'm familiar, but I'll have to try it out at some point. I'm not a seafood guy, but I'm imagining they've probably got like a steak or something there.
Yes, indeed. We'll get you covered if you get over here. Yes, plenty of options over here. First, start off with the local team. They're kind of in the news today, but not as much support on the futures market. We see kind of a lower, they have a difficult schedule, but a lower win total at 8.5 for one of the highest payrolls, if not the highest in college football. The LSU Tigers not as popular as they usually are.
Right, and maybe people are keeping their powder a little bit dry, which actually surprises me a little bit. When you've got Lane Kiffin coming in, you'd figure at least the public would be, hey, let's fire like normal. But I was going back and forth last week, Jimmy, with Joey Feasel. He's the head of football trading at Caesar Sports, so he handles both college and NFL, which is a pretty big chore this time of year and throughout the next few months, as I'm sure you know. But he noted 3 good positions for the book that he pointed out specifically. Ohio State, which obviously it's always good to be in a good position with the favorites. Georgia, which I thought was interesting too, and LSU. And the thing is, the Louisiana betting base, sports betting base, especially for Caesars, the last couple of years, you and I have talked about this. I can remember us having calls like preseason around this time last year and around this time the year before. And Caesars was over its skis on LSU tickets and money. They were, the Tigers would have been a really good outcome for the betting masses, and definitely a big liability for Caesars. But for some reason, right now, people are backing off a bit, and at least at Caesars, LSU is a good outcome for the national championship. If somehow Lane Kiffin gets that squad really rolling in the right direction against, as you noted, is a tough SEC schedule.
Patrick, was that after they beat Clemson, which appeared to be the strongest performance of the weekend, based on Clemson being a top 5 team? It was misleading, obviously. Nussmeier got hurt also, but the offensive line wasn't exposed as much. But was that preseason or after, or did it get a little boost after the Labor Day weekend?
I think the answer is probably part of both, I should say, Jimmy. And I know they were getting good looks preseason, and I'm sure that week 1 didn't hurt people's attitude at all, with the thought that Clemson was that was a really good win.
8 games, all Division I matchups, with Sacramento State and North Dakota State moving up to D1 this year. 8's better than none, but it'll be much better next year. Week 0 will be the opening weekend. The weekend before Labor Day weekend will be a full slate. They're giving teams 2 byes, starting the season early next year for everyone, not just Hawaii or international games or FCS games. But it's a couple of games that may have that gotten a little noticeable handles, noticeably being bet right now. You want to talk about North Carolina, TCU, and Memphis, UNLV.
Yeah, North Carolina, TCU, definitely an interesting game. Just, I think you have Tom Gable on there pretty regularly, do you not? Our good friend up in Atlantic City. And I went back and forth with him on Monday, just yesterday, about both of those games. It's kind of too early, not too much in the way of tickets or money on the September 5th, 6th, 7th slate, but obviously some good games in there, and LSU will be playing in there as well. But as far as this coming weekend, TCU, North Carolina, I'm hearing from multiple books so far, BetMGM, DraftKings, and now the latest from Borgata Sports, which is BetMGM property from Tom Gable. And he said, look, we've seen TCU get bet from 6.5 to 7.5. He said the money has come in on the Horned Frogs so far. But he also noted the total seeing some activity from the sharp crowd. He said, we've seen some respected money hit the under within the last week, driving that total down to 47.5 after opening at 49.5. And then on Memphis UNLV, which, maybe not a lot of people thinking about this, but somebody from the group of 6 is going to be in the college football playoff. And, there was a point last season where Memphis was a team that could have potentially been that squad. And there's talk this season that maybe UNLV could be that squad. Keep in mind, Jimmy, UNLV has won 9 or more games each of the last 3 seasons. That's never happened. It's been 40 years since that's happened. So they opened 3.5 and got as high as 6.5 at some spots. And what Tom Gable had to say at Borgata is early money has pretty much been all on the Rebels, but also on the under.
The moving to the NFL, and it's Barry Odom and Dan Mullen done a hell of a job. 2 guys that went to Las Vegas with SEC head coaching experience and really adapted well. And keep in mind, Odom had to when his quarterback wanted to renegotiate mid-season a couple of years ago. But there we go. The Rams are short price. When's the last time we've seen such a short price before the season to win the Super Bowl in the NFL?
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, we may have seen something like this a couple of years ago with the Chiefs. I'd have to go back and look for sure, but this is definitely interesting. There was a point as recently as a couple of weeks ago, and it probably is still holding true right now. It's that gap that I think is kind of interesting, where you've got, the Rams in that 5-1 range, and nobody else is shorter than 10-1. Everybody else is, basically double the Rams odds, which is not, it's not huge when you're talking about 10-1, 11-1, 12-1, but for the Rams to have that kind of gap preseason, I do think it's pretty interesting. Went back and forth with Christian Cipollini. He's a trading manager at BetMGM. We were talking Super Bowl, and the top 5 in tickets and in money at BetMGM, Rams are in that position. And with a short price, that might not be too bad a position, but they are at least a little bit of a liability for BetMGM. As far as teams that they're rooting against that at least are perceived as legitimate contenders, again, this is from Christian Cipollini at BetMGM, the Broncos, my Broncos, the Bears, the 49ers, and the Chiefs. It's rare that you've been able to get the Chiefs at the kind of numbers that you've been able to get them at with Mahomes coming off the injuries and so forth, and I know he's going to play and everything, but everybody's a year older on that team, and we'll have to see whether Mahomes is the same Mahomes we've all gotten used to. But the Chiefs are a liability, getting bet at numbers that people aren't used to getting with Patrick Mahomes.
Some of the teams have drawn historical comparisons: 2021 Chiefs, and in 3 years in a row, the Patriots, 17, 18, and 19. Patriots don't have the exact odds in front of me, but some of those comparisons being made. Some win totals, maybe significant win total action that we've seen in the NFL.
Yeah, again, this is coming from BetMGM and from Christian Cipollini as well. A few teams of note. I thought one thing that was kind of interesting, at least at BetMGM, no team opened at more than 10.5 wins. But 2 teams have since gotten to 11.5, and the Rams being one of them. Obviously, the offseason deal with to get Myles Garrett enhanced that team, and that helped bump that up to where not only is the win total for the Rams 11.5, but the over is a favorite at -140. And then the Ravens also went from 10.5 over -130 to 11.5 under -140. So the under is a favorite, but still 11.5 wins for the Ravens. And just kind of some back and forth on what they're seeing here. As I noted, Ravens and Rams both improved by a game. Liability leaders, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Vikings, and the Raiders, and that's in terms of overaction. Teams betting the overs on those 4 teams, Bengals, Broncos, Vikings, and Raiders. A little bit of excitement behind Las Vegas here with the number 1 draft pick and all. And the 2 notable under liabilities, and both these teams have gone down. I think they're still at 3.5. They both opened 4.5. That's the Dolphins and the Cardinals. Bettors not expecting good things out of those teams as they go, we're already, they opened 4.5, and bettors were like, no, that's too much for me. They bet them down to 3.5.
Well, if this bet to win the national championship in football this year, that hits, this guy he'll cash in, but I don't know. I could have advised him to do a lot of other things with his $5,000 besides bet this team.
Yes, $5,000 on another of my teams, the Colorado Buffaloes. I'm a proud Colorado grad from a long, long time ago. But, yeah, BetMGM reported this week. This came over from John Ewing, the great data analyst there. $5,000 on Colorado at 80-1 to win $400,000. I just I can't. I don't fathom that. But in the little bit more fathomable, BetMGM also took $5,000 on Ole Miss at 35-1 to win the national championship. And then I got a couple from Caesars as well that Joey Fiesel gave me. And these are all real legit. $15,000 at 6-1 on Ohio State, $10,000 on Oregon at 8-1, and $10,000 on Texas at +725. Those teams are all obviously right there. And I can tell you, Jimmy, at BetMGM and at Caesars, Notre Dame and Texas 1 and 2 in ticket count and money respectively, and then they flip at BetMGM Notre Dame number one, or rather they're the same at BetMGM, I should say, 1 and 2 in tickets and money. So bettors are all over Notre Dame and Texas at both those properties. And then another head scratcher, but hey, just for fun, at Caesars, $3,000 on Rutgers at 500 to 1 to win the national championship. If the bettor collects, it's $1.5 million.
Patrick, we're looking for you. Gonna be around on at Circa and Radio Row this weekend, or this Thursday and Friday?
I'll come out and say hello to you all. I'm definitely going to come out there.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to seeing you. You want to follow Patrick's stuff. He's always bouncing around. Hardest working man in sports gambling media at Patrick E_Vegas. At Patrick E_Vegas. Excellent stuff as always, Patrick. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you later in the week.
You bet. You guys travel safe. We'll talk soon.
All right, don't forget our friends over here at Mike Anderson's tonight, 5 to 9, and every Tuesday night it's half off raw oysters. So, man, I had some on Saturday. They're really, really good. Man, firm, salty, really clean oysters. They do a great job over here shucking at Mike Anderson's. Of course, Shane will be working tonight as well, getting that char grill going. But our August features, in addition to all of our menus that we have, lunch and dinner over here at Mike Anderson's, fried okra and J-Props. Those are 2 appetizer features. The J-Pops are spicy jalapeno stuffed with mozzarella cheese and shrimp, deep fried, served with our house-made ranch. The Sid, which is a black drum, and crab 7 ways are entrees. The dessert feature for August, white chocolate blueberry bread pudding. Live at lunch, live at Mike Anderson's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Big Ten is set to pass a rule today that stops players returning from the NFL from playing for one of its schools, sources told ESPN's Pete Thamel today. Other leagues like the Big 12 and ACC reportedly are considering the same, or maybe even expected to do so as well. So, of course, this is it's on ESPN.com site, and so the Big Ten's ruling comes in the wake of 2 NFL players, Cleveland's Daquan Wright and New Orleans' Xavier Harris, parting with their respective teams to join Lane Kiffin's roster at LSU. Well, the biggest concern about the coaches are paid to win. If you can get a guy eligible, not in the business of pleasing the competition, pleasing the media, the whole thing. The biggest concern is, will it affect? Where everybody's Lane Kiffin. You were talking about Patrick Jefferson there, talking about Noah. People bet on what they want to pull for. There's a lot of people who don't want to pull for Lane Kiffin as well, so I think that's going to have something to do with also them being a preseason top 10 team that did not finish even being ranked a year ago. Some people, they did get bet last year, especially after week 1. Both LSU was being bet heavily after weekend, and also Garrett Nussmeier was being bet heavily. He was the favorite for the Heisman after week 1. But the concern comes in, whether it's football or basketball, the selection committee, if it's going to play an effect on this thing. Because now this is ramping it up. It's one thing before, and it was anonymous committee member says, we're going to take this into consideration. Now that this is really heightened it, the timing is obviously added fuel to the fire as well. But if it's close, or if it's in there, will LSU, will the committee step in and be sort of the moralists here?
Hold it against them?
Yeah. Now, if it's absolutely even, nobody expects them to. But how much of a range is it? Just slam dunk that LSU deserves to be in instead of SMU.
You're dealing with humans, and you got human nature. So I would say that's a distinct possibility that could happen. So from Lane Kiffin and LSU's point of view, you want to make it where it's not close, where there is no decision, obviously, because I think it would go against them, Jimmy. That's just how people are.
And
they wouldn't even know they were doing it. That's just their human nature. They're not even realizing it. They just have such a negative connotation that's the direction they would go in.
Again, we talked about Sankey's letter, and over the teleconference with all the university presidents, but the SEC schools presidents and things like that, and talking about college and professional sports. College sports are professional sports. You're getting paid. You're getting paid. Whether it's the tennis team to the football team, you're getting paid. And it's just that simple. And trying to distinguish the two, it's just this whole facade. They need to get out of it. Is professional sports now. And even I talked about the tennis tournament where, they have tennis. They're participating in the NCAA tournament that played during the season, professional tournaments, and they were able to keep their purse. Unlike even like the golf, where the kid from Alabama won it and he went pro the next week. I mean, no, but that's an Olympic sport, so maybe it doesn't apply to that. We'll be at Bally's downtown tomorrow, again tonight. If you are thinking about it, highly encourage you to go. It's very important to the family to have a strong showing for skip service tonight. Doors open at 6, service at 7 at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. For Mike Anderson's and Jordan back in the studios, Mike Delicano, this has been Live at Lunch, live from Mike Anderson's at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.